How are you going? I'm Dom, this is Bunda, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're working with merge collectors, so let's get into this one. So today we're going to talk about turbo merge collectors. They are arguably the hardest part of the manifold to make. How we go from this to this and finally to this. This is our 1.25" Schedule 10 steam pipe, stainless steel. We're going to cut this into 90mm blanks. That's these now cut, 90mm. The next job is we stick them in the lathe. The reason that we stick them in the lathe is because when we drop it into this, if it wasn't quite perfectly straight, that actually could be ever so slightly sat on an angle. So we'll stick it in the lathe. We also then put the weld prep on this end, and then we'll stick them in the wire wheel. The next thing to do is mark these with a Sharpie. So we want a nice straight line. And that is then an indication for our rotation on the cutting fixture. This is the LPS Fab cutting fixture. You can't buy these in the UK, I don't believe. I imported it from the States. It's made by a company called Linden Power Systems. Really good piece of kit, quality made. Everything about it's very nice. It comes with a couple of different size fittings depending on what schedule pipe you're cutting. My go-to angle for my merge collectors is 20 degrees. And what I found is with a 5-cylinder merge collector, I use 117.5 degrees. What I do before cutting is mark with a Sharpie just to indicate where the 2 points are. That way when it's in the bandsaw and you can't quite see or the light's a bit dull, that's my indication for where the cutting line needs to align with. So with regards to our rotation, one increment there is 5 degrees. So if you were looking for 117 to 118, it's minute amounts that we're spinning it round to try to hit that magic number. That's why in the end, we sometimes have to do a little bit of light dressing. I then set my blade gap from the edge of this to the bandsaw at 5mm. The reason I do that is if you go a little bit closer, what you find is the distance between the merge collector, it becomes really tight. So I find with a 5-cylinder that 5mm is a perfect amount of angle in between the two. After they come out of the bandsaw, just that very last little bit there, you can see the blade just runs off. It's only a tiny bit. So what we do then is we're going to stick it on the linisher to get rid of that, and then prep these edges down here with the die grinder. That's the next step. Let's crack on. Where's that dog gone? Wonder! What are you doing? Bond. All of these parts now deburred on the inside with the die grinder. What you can see is how nice the fitment is. So if you look on the inside of there, just absolutely no gap. So that means when we get to weld on the outside, the fitment yet again is absolutely perfect. So it just means that our weld finish is going to be absolutely spot on. So the next thing to do, same again, you can see on the inside there the difference either side. See the join there. So now we'll get onto the welding bench and give it a weld up. Yeah, that's the whole thing tacked together now. You can see it together. You can see the fitment. Sometimes the numbers that we're looking for make it difficult to marry them up, you know, exactly. You can see a hairline gap in that distance there, but then, I mean, if you look on the inside, there's absolutely no misalignment really. And by the time you run a weld in there as well, I mean, we're talking fractions of a millimetre. You know, I wouldn't even be able to get a piece of paper in that gap. So 5-cylinder merge collectors unanimously are a little bit more difficult to work with than a 4, because with regards to a 4, you would make it in 2 halves and then push it together. So if you did have a tiny bit of misalignment between the two, you could just stick it on the linishing machine and then push it together. The next plan of attack would be marking this. If you were using a V-band, if you were using a T3 flange, you would then mark where your hole lines up. I mean, you wouldn't be using a twin scroll on a 5-cylinder merge collector, but you would have an open hole. You would simply mark this, cut it off, and then weld it together. Just a short fabrication video there showing how to build a merge collector. We do sell all of these parts on our online shop. If you want them as a kit form, if you want them fully welded together, depending on the options with regards to the flange fitment of your turbo, there's a drop-down menu. Click on what you want, select the number of cylinders, select the flange fitment, and we'll get that in the post out to you. I did a guess earlier in the week on the power of the 205. What I can reveal now is it made 225 horsepower. So if you guessed right on that one, well done. I said 230, I wasn't that far off. I'm calling it. I was pretty close. If anybody else got close to that, if you did, let me know. If you want to see a welding tutorial on how we weld these things together, drop some comments down below and I'll look to do that video. What's our next video going to be? You're going to have to tune in next time and we'll see you on the next one. Sit. Stay there. Stay there. Stay. See everything all right?
Yep.
Stay there. Wait. Wait. How are you going? I'm under. Stay. 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 How are we going? I need to look at the camera. Sit down. Stay there. Stay there. Sit. Stay. Stay. Come on, sort your shit out. Stay. No. Stay there. Right. He's the worst one of the lot of them, honestly.
Yeah.
Sit. Stay.